Number one, you work in a high-risk environment. We just went around the room and every single one of you said you work in a high-risk environment because you go into people's houses, right? Going into someone's house is a high-risk environment. Does everyone agree with that? Because you don't know what's going on in that house, right? Do you? I mean, I'm imagining that you go to houses where you don't know what happened 15 minutes before you got there, right? You don't know if that guy beats his wife. You don't know if that person's a heroin addict. You don't know if that person has a criminal record of violence, right? You don't know that. So when you're walking into their house, even if you're invited, that's a high-risk environment. Everyone agree with that? So you work in a high-risk environment. We already said you've never been trained on this. So you're going into a high-risk environment that you haven't been trained to deal with, and you're more concerned about the patient than you are yourself. So my theory is that is a recipe for an increased amount of violent attacks. Does that make sense? I don't mean that in an offensive way either. I mean it, what you guys do is honorable and like more than if we didn't have people like you in this world, there'd be a lot less people alive and healthy in this world, because it takes people who are willing to sacrifice their life for others. That's not what we're trying to. We're not trying to say that sacrificing your life for others is wrong or whatever. What we're saying is it's dangerous to you. Because anytime if some kid's falling through the ice and you have to go out on the ice to pull the kid in, of course you're risking your life to save that child, of course. But if you walk into a house to transport someone and all of a sudden there's a fight breaks out and you're in the middle of it, you have to ask yourself, do I keep going to try to transport this person who just wants to go to my facility, or do I go, hey, sorry, we'll come back, right? Another day, right? I mean, is that a fair assessment? But those are decisions you guys make almost probably on a daily basis. And no one else can make those decisions or understand the dynamics of that except you guys. We understand it because of so many people we've worked with and our background of self-protection training. So we typically come in as kind of like auditors. I almost say we're like safety auditors. We come in and go, okay, show me what you do. And I go, okay, that's cool. So I understand that your objective is to provide medical care and the person's back in the corner. Is that the safest way to do that? Not is it the right thing that you're doing, because I know you're doing the right thing because you guys are experts in what you do. The question is that the safest way for you to do that? And that's where we start to go, well, what if we kind of tweaked that a little bit? Do you feel safer now? And people go, oh yeah, that does make sense. That feels safer. Okay, so you're still doing the same thing you came to do. It's just safer. Does that make sense? So that's kind of one of the main tweaks I hope to do today, is that you'll walk out of here and go, I didn't think about that little thing, but from now on I'm going to do that little thing, because that automatically reduces the risk that I'm going to get attacked. What it really comes down to is you're making yourself a hard target. It's like being street smart. You've heard people say, oh, this person's street smart. Or common sense. And then people say, well, you can't teach common sense. We can't teach common sense, and street smart typically is from people who have grown up in situations where they have to learn how to be street smart. But most people who are street smart is because they've been beat up or something's happened to them. They go, I'm not doing that again. So they're street smart because they've probably learned the hard way on certain things. I know in my neighborhood growing up, I learned, there was bigger kids or bully kids or whatever, and go, if I walk down this street and get to the end of that street and those bigger kids are there, they're going to beat me up. So what am I going to do? I'm going to walk around and take the long way around because I don't want to get beat up. Okay? But that is because you learn from experience. But that was just going, I'm smarter than that. I know I can't beat these kids, so I'd just be smarter and go around them. Okay? So it's things like that that sound so simplistic and simple, but really that will save your life more than here's 16 ways to punch somebody. Okay? Because you have to start punching someone to get out of it, you're already in a crisis at that point.